have you ever dated a Dominican woman?
Yeah, I have.
And tell me about it. How did it go? If somebody asked you to describe, like, what differences have you noticed in Dominican women, dating Dominican women and dating American women, what would you say
My
are the
mom was
differences?
calling me, and they took the phone out of my pocket because I was doing my head like this, dating.
What up, my people from the Dominican News? Today we have something special. We're gonna talk to one of my friends. He's an artist, and his name is Red Rose. And I brought him pizza. He loves it. Check it out. Hey, what up? Hey, what up, my homie?
Chilling, my brother.
Red Rose.
Right here.
So, man, see?
I know you like this. I brought you this.
I appreciate it, dog. I appreciate
Put it
it.
in the kitchen.
Yes, sir.
Hey, how you been doing?
I've been doing good, living life,
Pretty
man.
good.
Living life, getting money. You know how it is, man.
Man, nice to talk to you. Nice to see you. And we'll talk a little bit about your life and your experience here.
All right.
And I know you've been through a lot. I want to know a little bit about it, if you don't mind me asking.
Yes, sir.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Dominican News. And today I have a guest. His name is James Ellis, better known as Red Rose.
I'm so tired of working this 9 to 5. I pray to God to keep my family patient. Yeah. My nephew treat me like I've been the mate. Told him he mistaken wrong.
How you doing, everybody? Honored to be here.
It's an honor. Well, let me go just straight to the point. And for how long you've been here in the DR?
Going on, next week will be a month. I'll be here for a month.
A month?
Mm-hmm.
And why are you here?
Really, I just love the culture, love the environment. I love being around the water. But this is probably one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. I have a lot of friends here. Really don't even consider them friends, more like family. So, I'm here a lot. Try to come back every 3 months, but yeah, one of my favorite places to be.
What places from the Dominican Republic do you know?
So far, I know obviously Santo Domingo is where we are right now. Usually where I'm always at, the capital, where most of my family is, but I also know Samaná, Las Terrenas, Puerto Plata, and Sosúa.
Yes, so you're from the United States, right?
I'm from the United States.
Where in the States?
Dallas, Texas.
Dallas?
Mhm.
Were you born in Dallas?
I was not.
Where you born?
I was born in Arkansas. So I was born in Arkansas, moved to Dallas when I was about 8 years old. So a lot of people will consider me from Texas because I'm now 26. Yeah, I've been in Texas more years than I've been in Arkansas. But I was born in Arkansas, raised in Texas.
Born in Arkansas, raised in Texas.
Yeah.
Arkansas and Texas is very different, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to culture and how people treat each other.
Yeah, most definitely.
What would you say would be one of the two differences that you think you would like to point out?
Yeah, first, obviously, you got the country versus, more of the city environment. Although, obviously, in Texas, it's known for its, country western theme. It is the infrastructure is a lot more updated. It's a lot more cities, a lot more of a melting pot. That's what we call it in the DFW. So you see a lot of different cultures. As for Arkansas, it's not. Financially, obviously doesn't have a big market. A lot more poverty in Arkansas. A lot more, just two races that you see for the main part, black and white. Although there is other races, but that's the main ones that you see. Rather than DFW, you can run into any type of, race or ethnic background. So I would say that's the first thing I probably, when it comes to differences that I would think of when you talk about Arkansas and Texas.
And what do you do for a living in Dallas?
I am an owner of a construction company, or better yet, property preservation. So that just means anything to get a house on the market, keeping up with anything outside of the home, inside of the home, we take care of it, from plumbing, electricity, foundation, roofing, painting, anything we can do it, you name it. So yeah.
Would you consider that you're doing good business-wise?
Yes, I'm very blessed. Making over 6 figures a year.
Oh,
so
there's a lot of money.
Yeah, I'm very blessed. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So how did you do that transition from being in construction to becoming an artist?
I just done call me the phone. She keep her blade in her hair like her name a katana. Put me a phone and I'm.
Well, I've always been an artist. I was an artist my whole life. So I would say I would start writing music seriously when I was 12 years old, with my peers, my friends, you know, just all having a similar dream, us pushing each other, motivating each other. Over the years, you know, kind of accelerated and fell in love with it more.
Yeah.
And, you know, it took me to, you know, a lot of different places. I would say that construction or just being handy was always a to be. Mm-hmm. So how I explain it to people is construction is what financed my real dream. Mm-hmm. You know, obviously, because when you're in something, especially in entrepreneurship, you always need another way of income to fund your main dream. Yeah. So me being handy, knowing how to fix things, et cetera, was the reason I was able to go so many places, meet so many people when it comes to the music industry. So they kind of just played, you know, side by side roles for each other, very important roles. Mm-hmm. But music has always been my first dream, and yeah, only dream. So.
Yes. Are you married?
No, I'm not married.
Not married?
No, sir.
Have you ever dated a Dominican woman?
Yeah, I have.
And tell me about it. How did it go?
It's smooth, you know. I dated a couple of Dominican women. You know, not everything's gonna go good. You know, it doesn't matter where you're at. I say, you know, not everything's gonna go good no matter if you're in the States. Mm-hmm. You know, it doesn't matter if you're in, you know, Colombia. It doesn't matter. It's dating at the end of the day. Dating always has principles. There's always green lights and red flags you have to pay attention to. But yes, I have dated Dominican women. I've had failures and I had success. So.
Yeah. So if somebody asks you to describe, like, what differences have you noticed in Dominican women, dating Dominican women and dating American women, what would you say are the differences? Because I mean, women are women, but you know, culture changes.
Most definitely. Definitely a culture difference.
Yeah.
I would say that American women take a lot more pride into being independent when it comes to dating. Although I would say women in general would they very much appreciate when a man takes initiative, doing things financially, et cetera. But I would say in the Dominican, it's more so of a necessity for a man to be able to take care of everything financially. It's no second thought. You know, I would say here it's in the States, it's about a 50% chance of you meeting a woman that wants to go 50-50. Mm-hmm. In the Dominican Republic, it's about a 10% chance that she'll meet a woman that wants to go 50-50. And it's not because, anything in particular that's just what they're used to and that's what they're accustomed to. That's their culture. So as a man, you know, you gotta be able to provide and protect, and you know, they take care of everything else.
Have you ever been a victim of racism in the Dominican Republic?
In the Dominican Republic, no.
No.
Never.
Have you ever been a victim of racism in your country?
Multiple times.
Multiple times. Can you tell me one of those times?
Yeah, so I would say the most notable time for me is when I was about 16 years old. Just got done with my first show ever. My first show. Yep. Paid for it. Me and my friends paid for it ourselves. It was a little Battle of the Band show. I got my whole high school to show up. My parents was there. Everybody was there. It was a great time. Like I said, I was 16 at the time, so a lot of the older adults, they wanted to go out, obviously, to the clubs, bars, etc., to go celebrate. And you know, us kids, we wanted to have an after party. Unfortunately, after party didn't happen, so everybody went home. So my best friend, Jonathan, he took me home, and my parents obviously were in, downtown, and I was locked out of my house.
Yeah.
Well, let me elaborate. I came to find out I was locked out of my house. Me being 16, irresponsible, I lost my key to my house. So I came to find out that I was locked outside of my house, and obviously the first, instinct I had was to go to my backyard, to my back door. So I go to my backyard, my back door, and it's not open. So go back to my front door, I'm calling my parents, they're not answering, so obviously I get a little frustrated. Go back to my back door, and my back door we didn't live in the best neighborhood when it comes to apartment housing. So my back door, let's just say, quote unquote, was easy to get into. Mm-hmm. So I let myself in my house, and about 30 seconds later was greeted by, I want to say about 6 or 7 policemen. all had, you know, ARs, shotguns. Didn't let me speak. Took me to the ground, put their knee on the back of my head. Couldn't breathe. They didn't, you know, let me talk. They was asking me, which was strange to me, is they was asking me questions, but had me in a position where I couldn't answer questions.
Yeah.
So it's almost like a setup. So I felt. So asking me questions, you know, what's my name? You know, what am I doing? Things like that. But I literally couldn't breathe. I was terrified. I was only 16, holding the guns to my face. But the irony of it all is it was my house. Now, I understand that obviously from somebody else's perspective, it looks like a breaking and entering. But like I said, the irony was that there was family photos of myself all over the house. And I was trying to tell the policeman, if you look to your right now, you're by one of the biggest portraits of me and my family, and you can clearly see that it's me.
Yeah.
Also, my ID was in the room next to me, but they wouldn't let me up. So they wouldn't let me up. Couldn't breathe. I was pleading for them to let me up. And just so happened that my mom was calling me, and they took the phone out of my pocket because I was doing my head like this, you know. And they took the phone out of my pocket and they answered it for me. And it was my mom, and she told them everything. And I don't think maybe if, you know, they didn't grab that phone, God willing, you know, I probably wouldn't be here today. So she came home, you know, obviously highly upset. Everybody was highly upset because it was super scary, you know. They tried to apologize or whatever, but I just think, you know, I just think that maybe if I was, you know, a different shade, maybe a couple shades lighter, that there would be, you know, a little bit more hesitant as far as when it comes to force, and maybe a little bit more understandable to hearing somebody out, especially when I didn't pose any threat. I was a child. They had plenty of time to frisk me, and I was still held under by force when they see that I didn't have any weapons or anything like that. So I would say that was one of the most notable times that I dealt with, you know, racism head on. But I dealt with it in many different ways, you know, subliminally. That's usually the most common way, subliminal, not really, you know, in front of your face. But that would be the most notable time that I dealt with it, you know, straightforward.
What color were those cubs?
Oh, those were white.
They were white. And it happened where? In Texas?
Yeah.
Dallas.
That
was when you were 16?
I was 16.
And so now, today you're 26.
26.
Do you think racism is a lot worse, or has it gotten a little maybe less in Dallas? Has it gotten worse?
You know, that's a question a lot of people ask me, especially people from different countries. How do I see racism progressing?
Yeah.
Is it progressing? Is it dying out? And I always say that honestly it comes in different shapes, forms, and sizes, but that isn't a question that I can so far answer for all of Black Americans or, you know, Mexican Americans, because we all face racism in a different shape, way, or form. So I definitely think that for me it's the same, rather than, you know, I would say somebody else would probably say it got worse. Yeah. Just, you know, due to their life and circumstances. So, but personally speaking for myself, I think it's just the same. You know, it's never changed since I was born. It's all, you know, it's always been that way. And I'm sure many people before me would say the same thing. You know, even though times have changed, we progress as humans, but it's still bluntly, you know, right there in our faces. And the same things happen. And it's to me, it's the same. It's still very well alive and present.
You said that you've been through multiple racism attacks through your life. Is there any other story that you remember that you would like to share with the audience?
Yeah, so when I was in Arkansas,